Ahoy there, it's Skyward Shield, and this is attempt number 2 on the penultimate football talks. I'm joined by Bill Gates. Say hello, Bill Gates.
Hey, I'm here to take over the computer world. Oh, wait.
Anyway, we actually tried recording this on Tuesday like normally, but for some reason, it did not record Bill's voice, so we have to record all over again. This time I've checked, should be there, it should be good. I made sure that it was recording Bill, but anyway, so we are the penultimate. We've gone past the Pro Bowl, so we'll shed some thoughts on that, and afterwards we'll grade Houston, and then we'll go to the to the Super Bowl, the big one.
The big game.
Anyway,
Oh, man.
let's start with the Pro Bowl. So, Team Irvin beat Team Carter, I believe, 35-28, but in the end, nobody really cared about the score because the score was kind of irrelevant. It was only how the players played and how much fun it was to see them all together playing again.
Yeah. I mean, overall, really that's the main draw of the Pro Bowl is to see all your players one last time. Unless you're the Jacksonville Jaguars who had no one there.
Or the Titans. Or the Vikings.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that needs to be addressed in the future, but
I'm okay with it. I mean, I don't mind if the Titans and the Jaguars are mostly pushovers. Just if only the Colts would do the same, so Houston will always go.
I feel like it's kind of a disservice to the Tennessee Titans because those are professionals and they still do work hard to attempt to do that, and it's not their fault that that management has no idea how to build a team.
Do you want to know a fun fact?
What?
Detroit actually made an offer for the Titans head coach to go. He had two offers, one from Detroit and one from Tennessee. Now, Bill, before Golden Tate and the draft happened, do you remember what kind of talent he would have been working with if he joined the Lions instead?
Yeah.
List them. Just list some of these great players that we all should know about.
For Tennessee?
No, for Detroit.
Calvin Johnson, Matt Stafford, Reggie Bush, Ndamukong Suh, Chris Houston. Well, Houston's not there. Darius Slay, Glover Quinn, DeAndre Levy. I mean, that's a lot.
Do you know of anything worth noting in Tennessee?
They have a good young quarterback in Jake Locker. I'm trying to think of some people, and their defense is better than their offense, to be honest.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say by much.
But I mean, it's also a thing that I'm not exposed to their team as much.
I am.
So,
I just don't see much talent. I think I think they have a player named Delaney Walker, and that's it.
Yeah, Delaney Walker's a good tight end, but I mean, I feel it's kind of a slap in the face of the fans of Tennessee. They support their team just as much as any other fans in the country, just like the Minnesota Vikings. I could make a case that Teddy Bridgewater had a more Pro Bowl year than Matt Stafford had.
I think he had a better season as a rookie than everybody else. I would even arguing better than Beckham.
Nah, I wouldn't argue that.
Really? I say because think about the position as a quarterback. And even when Odell Beckham was there, he didn't win all those games he was in.
The two hardest positions to learn as a rookie, wide receiver and quarterback. And to be fair, 1,400 yards in 12 games or 1,200 yards in 12 games, that's kind of crazy production for a rookie wide receiver that was gone for the first month. I mean, I would give the nod to Odell, and then Teddy Bridgewater is there. But I mean, if I'm looking at rookie quarterbacks as a whole, he did the best of all of them.
Yeah. Anyway, well, to get to the point, the head coach for Tennessee, whose name still escapes me, he declined the Lions offer and went to Tennessee.
Well, he can keep Tennessee.
Because his loss. I just wonder, what if he did join? Where would they be? Would they suck like Tennessee, or would they do about the same?
I think they would be. I'm kind of glad he didn't take the Lions job because I like Caldwell as the coach. I liked him when he was the coach of Indy. I felt like he got the raw deal from Indy because the one bad year he had was the 2-14 season, and that was when Peyton Manning was gone. I mean, anyone's gonna have a bad year if your Hall of Fame quarterback's gone and you get stuck with Curtis Painter as your quarterback.
Yep, they had to draft Luck. They still beat Houston when they went over there, though. Which still baffles me.
I feel like if Caldwell was still the coach of Indianapolis, they would be great. But
whoops, I dropped something.
Pagano's a good coach, but I don't think he's on the same level as Jim Caldwell.
Yeah. Oh God, but don't tell Colts fans that you don't like Pagano. They might put the whole he has cancer card on you.
No, I find it admirable that he had that and beat it. You know,
I did too. Well, anybody can beat cancer is a really strong person in of itself, but I'm not a fan of Colts fans because I'm a Houston fan. Shouldn't that be expected?
Oh yeah,
that's like telling a Bears fan to be friends with a Green Bay fan.
It'd be like me saying to not tell people from Green Bay to melt their cheese head.
No, I got an even better one. That's like telling the Baltimore Ravens fans to go and play nice with the Steelers fans. No, that's stupid. That's a stupid thing to ask.
Now, just a stupid thing. If there was a Pro Bowl for stuff for in the stands that you give to your fans.
Yeah.
If you give a Pro Bowl nod, you give it to the terrible towel of Pittsburgh. You give it to all the other stuff. The thing you wouldn't give a Pro Bowl nod to is a cheesehead.
Yeah.
I'm just saying because kind of look silly wearing a cheesehead.
Don't the Lions have things called grates?
I don't know.
Have a grate head to get rid of the cheese.
Yeah, I mean, it's just. To be fair, one of those iconic things. But then again, the Red Wings of hockey have, back in the 90s, had these things called wing nuts, and you know what a wing nut is.
What if the Red Wings made a wing cap? That'd put a triple jump and fly.
But back to the Pro Bowl.
Hey, that would sell, especially with the kids.
Oh man, but back to the Pro Bowl. Overall, my overall thoughts was that the game was irrelevant, and really what made it irrelevant was the rule changes that took place for the Pro Bowl, but we'll talk about that in a second. But the highlights were Matt Stafford having offensive MVP and J.J. Watt defensive MVP.
Yeah, so Bill, talk about Stafford.
Stafford lit up the first half. He went off. He had like 295 yards in the first half, and he played the first series or second series in the third quarter and finished the game with 310 yards and 2 touchdowns and a pick. Oh man.
I don't even know who they blame the fumble on, which... Let's speak of those turnovers. Who recovered both of those turnovers?
J.J. Watt.
Perfect segue.
Which was one of the reasons why J.J. Watt was defensive MVP.
No, go on.
The other thing is that he played really, really hard the entire way. And that's a good thing.
Stafford, I believe, has the second most amount of yards in Pro Bowl history. Second
Yep.
to you know who your favorite quarterback, Bill.
Uh,
Say it,
uh,
Bill.
Peyton Manning?
Yep.
Oh, man.
Anger the Houston fan in me by speaking his name.
Peyton Manning, to be fair, Peyton Manning is a legend of a quarterback, and I feel sorry for anybody that has to deal with legendary quarterbacks over and over again.
Yeah, your Lions.
Like my Lions and like your Houston Texans.
We had to deal with Peyton Manning for two times every year, and now we have to deal with Luck.
Yeah, now I get Brett Favre and then Aaron Rodgers. Oh man, but the years with Rodgers are almost over. Only got a few more years to go.
Well, if he keeps getting injured, yeah, it might even be shorter.
Then he's past his peak, and then I'll be fine with him staying stationary in the pocket and getting sacked.
I'm just saying, I think Luck will probably be the greatest quarterback of this era, more than Rodgers. They're saying Rodgers is going to be better. I just can't wait for 2 years from now, Luck v. Rodgers, and I can't wait for Luck to just tear him up.
I'll put it this way: I feel like if they met,
no, they will. They will. I think they will. But continue, Bill.
I felt if they met right now that Rodgers would get the better of them, and in a couple years, I feel like Rodgers will get the better of them.
Twice.
I feel like he's Rodgers stay around till about 34, 35 as being relevant as a running quarterback, and then he's gonna get stationary. And
I think he's in his. Wait, how old is he right now?
31.
I think he'll get irrelevant. Yeah, around the same time, you say.
I say he has 4 good years left, and then you become a different quarterback at 35.
I'm gonna say if he gets injured in his calf one more time, then I don't think so.
I mean, if he has any sort of knee injury as well, I mean, that'll be bad. But the other standout for the Pro Bowl for me was Golden Tate.
Yeah, during an interview with Sherman, he was reacting to Golden Tate's catch. It's pretty cool, but I will say Golden Tate deserved that spot, and I hated how they they did not put him in, and then he came out because some wide receivers didn't go.
Yeah, I mean, I feel it was a disservice to a lot of players.
How do you think New York fans feel with Odell Beckham? But I'll be honest, I say Golden Tate deserved it more than Beckham. Dude,
I mean,
you carry a whole team by yourself, which they both did. But I think Tate had the more important position, you know what I mean?
I mean, he has the it's hard to quantify how important a person is to your team. You know,
I'm going by at those times where they rose up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I gotcha.
When Odell rose, it didn't really matter at that point because the Giants had no way of going to the playoffs unless both the Eagles and Cowboys bombed everything.
I mean, the other thing is that really, if Victor Cruz doesn't get hurt, that whole season's different.
Exactly, but it happened, and that's what cost. I think that's what really cost them the chance of winning the East when Victor Cruz went out. Because if you had both of them, then they would be a three-headed monster of Eli Manning, Odell, and Victor.
I just feel like Odell. If you didn't have Odell Beckham there, they could have went 2-14.
Probably they would have They would have been where we expected the Cowboys actually.
The Cowboys were a huge surprise.
There's always a surprise team. Like last year was ironically the Seahawks, and look where they're at, going to their second Super Bowl.
Yep. I mean, and I feel like the Pro Bowl sort of gave you a glimpse at the future stars that are going to be up and coming. I mean, Odell Beckham was going off in the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
Golden Tate was going off in the Pro Bowl. Those are the future stars right there.
Oh, but you know how I mentioned Sherman? I think I brought this up in the other attempt. So I think am I the only one really hoping for Golden Tate to be lined up against Sherman when they play Seattle next year?
I mean, it'd be interesting,
Well,
but I
it doesn't get more personal than that.
doubt that would happen
Why?
because
Because of Megatron being more important.
Sherman would be on Calvin
Even if
most
Calvin's
likely.
on the left side, because they always put him on the right.
I mean, it really, to be honest, it really doesn't matter where Calvin lines up. He'll catch the football. It's just, you know,
Yeah, because even if Dez could outbeat Sherman when they played, I'm pretty sure Calvin Johnson could do the
Richard
same.
Richard Sherman can. His biggest trouble is covering big wide receivers.
Dez is a big wide receiver. You can never really
Yeah,
tell.
that is like 6'3", 6'4".
So if Sherman had to block Ty, who's a smaller one, he probably could.
Yeah,
Well, that makes sense.
Ty's a speedster. What Richard Sherman is good at is jamming people at the line, and then making sure that they don't get a free release. If you have a 6'4" wide receiver that can just push right through your jam, then you're in some serious trouble and you're going to get beat.
Yeah.
And Dez is a big guy. Kelvin's a big dude. You know, that's why I feel like if I was the, and this will be for later, if I was the Patriots, Gronkowski would go out there and test Mr. Sherman.
Probably. That's
Because
unheard of though for Sherman to block a tight end, but
I
given it's
mean,
Gronk,
he's 6'7". If you split Gronk out to go after Sherman, could you imagine Richard Sherman being dwarfed by the monster that is Gronk?
imagine if this were basketball. We still had what's his name? You know,
Spud Webb?
not him. The one I was talking about, the one that met Watt, and Watt was like tiny, a tiny
Oh,
man
oh,
compared
you
to him.
mean Dikembe Mutombo?
Yeah.
I mean,
He doesn't even have to
and there,
jump for that thing.
and you know the creepiest part about that is Dikembe Mutombo's not even the tallest player to ever play in the NBA.
Yeah, you told me about that. That was a fun time.
George Murasan, 7'8".
That's dude.
In fact,
Uh,
in a video game, you didn't even really even have to jump with Murasan on your team. He just literally practically put the basketball in the hoop by just not even jumping.
just reach his arm out.
Exactly.
Just put your hand over the hoop, and just then nobody can get it in.
I mean, he's a big dude. I don't know if he's still around with us, but I mean, he's I think he suffered from some sort of gigantism
Gigantism.
disease. There's some sort of disease where it's a basically you keep growing,
Oh,
sort of like Andre the Giant.
Andre the Giant.
Oh man,
Okay, so Bill, tell me any final thoughts on Stafford.
on Stafford. Stafford had a really good day. He got to pass to a lot of people. He surprised some people with how hard he throws.
Did he surprise
He's-
you?
Oh no, nothing surprises me about Matt Stafford. He's a great quarterback incoming. All his numbers are trending in the right direction. His interceptions were down, his touchdowns were down, but I'd rather the interception number go down. His yardage was down, but his completion percentage was up. And that's if his interceptions and his completion percent, one goes down and one goes up, I'm happy with it. And if he keeps trending in that direction, then the touchdowns come back. You have Calvin, you have Golden Tate, and he could have a 5,000-yard season with having only 4 picks. And just imagine if that happens.
Yeah. Okay, so can I talk about Watt now?
Go ahead.
All right. So Bill mentioned that there was a interception, but there's also, and I mentioned there was a fumble, which whether or not was caused by Stafford is debatable, because I believe he was giving it to C.J. Anderson.
Yep.
Yeah. So, guess who recovered both of those turnovers?
JJ.
Yep, J.J. Watt picked up both of those. And if you watched that whole game, watched all of Watt, that was pretty much Watt in an entire game summed up. That is a summary of what he can do. That is really fun.
Oh yeah.
He's that I think that helped his odds of being a chance at MVP. I still think it's going to Rodgers. It might have helped more if he got a touchdown, defensive or offensive, but you know, because thank God Rodgers wasn't on that field. Otherwise, we'd have 20 cameras focused on his fucking calf/crotch area.
Oh.
Bill, I told you many times when he got hurt, they focused on him in that area, and they still did. It was pretty saddening. It's about as bad as when you go to watch a Browns game, they always put the camera on Johnny Football. Like, when's he coming out? It's kind of like that. Anyway,
Yeah.
so it was like Watt dominated. He really gave that defense that with all those other great players a great influence. It's like, wow, this Watt. I mean, I said it a lot better on the first attempt, so that's why the second attempt is kind of eh. But I'm just saying, I was really proud of Watt for that, and he hasn't even reached his full potential yet. Isn't that still amazing? He's only been in the league for about what, 3-4 years?
He's in, I think, 3 or 4. Yeah.
Yeah, because he just got his contract extension this past at the beginning of the season, or near it, for which we all know being the highest paid defensive player, $100 million. Good stuff. So,
Yeah.
but you know who we didn't see a lot of? You pointed this out to me for at least one of the players. The other one I mentioned, Romo.
Yeah.
I did not hear shit from him.
It was like he was gone, and I feel like the Cowboys, since he was picked by the Cowboys, picked by Irvin, but really, Michael Irvin's a huge Cowboy guy because he came from the Cowboys.
Yep.
So he had a bunch of Cowboys on his team, and it only made sense. But, you know, I feel like Jason Garrett did a lot to protect Tony Romo and his back.
I think there was also that, and because Stafford was just literally having a field day, they let him do more. You know what
Exactly.
I mean? Stafford showed no sign of wearing down, so it's like, we'll let him keep going at it.
Yeah, I mean, if someone's performing in the Pro Bowl, you let the guy perform. I mean, he's going off, and let him go off, and let him steal the show.
I just wanted to see more Romo because look what there were so many Cowboys. I thought Romo was gonna have the best Pro Bowl and not Stafford because it's like most of the players are them. They have this big connection. I think there was only one Cowboy player who wasn't with Team Irvin. I don't know who it was. Who did they have?
Yeah.
I think they had the center, they had the guard. I think they had Witten too.
They had 3 members of the offensive line.
Yeah. So, but
I think
Witten? Wasn't Witten?
They had Witten. I think they had Witten. They had Dez.
No, Dez wasn't there.
Oh yeah, Dez wasn't.
He refused to go.
Yeah,
'Cause
they had Witten.
Not all players want to go.
Yeah, they have Witten. They had there was a lot of players from Dallas on that team. It was a Michael Irvin team, so I mean, the whole coaching staff was Dallas. And one of the reasons why Stafford played so well was because it was his old offensive coordinator calling the plays for him, and he knew the terminology. That was another thing that bothered me about the Pro Bowl, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
Actually, get to it right now, because I can't think of
Okay.
much to say for Watt, because I think the videos explain it all, and you could tell how much fun he had, and I just can't wait to see more of him next year. But we'll talk about Houston more after you get your thoughts shared, Bill.
My negative thoughts are the idiotic rule changes and what was the other thing I was going to talk about?
The field goal thing, the
yeah,
goalpost being shortened to 14 feet instead of the traditional 18.
Yeah, that was idiotic. It does a disservice. It really does a disservice to, your game, because if it's not broke, don't fix it.
I just realized something. Maybe
What?
they're shortening that post to Warn America about something that we've been made fun of for the past decade. You gotta slim it down a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Isn't it saddening? The TVs and every bit of technology is getting thinner, and the goalpost is getting thinner, but some people here are not, which I'm one of them, sadly.
I mean, I'll put it this way. I don't want this to be fixed, because what different...
Would you even call that fixed?
I call that the goalpost in the Pro Bowl.
Change.
That is probably the stupidest thing I've ever seen, and it's not fixed. You broke it more. And here's the reason why. I feel like if you're going to do that and you're forcing people to make these super accurate kicks, what's going to happen in the playoffs when your team needs to go for 3 points and it's a 40-yard field goal, and you have an amazing kicker, and you're going to leave it to and the wind swirling, so you already have that in there. Now, my issue is that if you have a better kicker than the other team's kicker, it shouldn't be left to random chance that you're going to make it or miss it. You should know that if you're within 40 yards and your kicker is better than theirs, that you have a better shot at winning if you stop them from 40 yards away or not. And I feel like the kickers, it's leaving it to more random chance, and it's a disservice to the fans of the NFL. It's a disservice to the NFL itself. It makes the games unwatchable. I swear to God, if they narrow those instead of focusing on what you need to fix, like your refereeing, which was the most god awful refereeing I've ever seen in the history of the NFL in this playoffs.
It also shames one more thing, which you forgot to mention. The kickers themselves. Good kickers could possibly have their careers ruined, even though they don't. Yeah, because they are trained for 18 feet once. To adjust to that is even harder than just doing the normal.
And the 30-foot extra points. 30-yard extra points. You're leaving all these points to chance. If you score a touchdown, it should stand to reason that you'll be able to kick your extra point. Now, unless it's botched miserably or something. Or blocked. Why don't more teams try to block the extra point? If you're really that bad, you feel like if you go down and score a touchdown, you'll be able to tie the game up. You shouldn't have to be forced to go, well, I might make this extra point, I might not, and if I don't make this extra point, and if that other team scores like 2 touchdowns and go for two-point conversions, I'm going to be down 10 points, and then I have no way of getting back in this game.
They're trying to encourage going for 2 and for going for it on 4th down.
That's just idiotic. It's stupid.
It's also idiotic for defensive slugfests where 3 points are worth 7.
Exactly. It's almost like you're saying to the NFL, to all the players in the NFL, don't play defense, allow the other team to score touchdowns, and maybe they'll miss the 2-point conversion, and then you'll have a chance. And that way you might win 45-44. It's like telling the defensive players to not even play.
I think there's also another reason, and it goes to the fans. When do we really care about getting a field goal? Only the fourth quarter and maybe at the end of the first half.
Think of it this way. Now, if you think of a typical fan's reaction, you say the game was 10-7. What's the first reaction you're not hear?
We're winning or we're losing.
That was a boring game.
Oh yeah. Oh, I thought you were talking about like if you told me the score of an ongoing game.
Yeah, no, if you
Ow.
heard the score at the end and it was 10-7, the first reaction would be, that was a boring game.
Yeah.
Not, that was a good defensive game, and man, I'm glad I saw a defensive struggle. No, I want to see more points because I'm the entitled fan that has to see a 45-40 game.
This isn't
You-
college. Really, I just say to any of those who want those shootouts all the time, like constantly. I mean, there's always at least one a year. But if you really want those, go watch college football, which usually is just a one-sided shootout, like 40-7 on Texas on UT, which I hated that.
I just I feel like defensive football is getting pushed to the side, and defensive football, if it's done well, can be just as exciting as offensive football.
Especially if there's a shit ton of turnovers.
I mean, look at Seattle's defense. Now, is anyone going to watch the Seattle Seahawks for their offense?
No.
Now, what are you most willing to see?
The Legion of Boom.
You want to see the Legion of Boom. You want to see the defensive trash-talking superstars of the Seahawks.
Very few
now,
teams or fan bases are actually appreciative of the defensive side, which is, as much as I'm not a fan of Seattle, they're the 12th man at least does that.
I mean, the defense is just as important to the game as the offensive side of the football. And if people start not appreciating the defensive side, then we're going to get
It's just this is kind of a rhyme, but a passy-go-lucky league. It's just throw the ball deep and get
a pass interference call, get 60 penalty yards, and then
just keep scoring,
get a
just keep throwing touchdowns. But Bill,
And
name me another
and-
team aside from Seattle that loves its defense. Like they care more for the defense. Hold on a second. Sorry about that. I got interrupted. So, Bill, I told you the question, so let's hear your answer.
I would say that the Baltimore Ravens fans care more about their defense than their offense.
Used to be Pittsburgh too, but
Yeah,
not anymore.
not anymore. Well, to be fair, Pittsburgh fans expect their defense to be good as well, as do Chicago Bears fans.
They're never getting the '85 Bears back.
No. But the Bears have always been predicated upon defense and the monsters of the Midway. That's what they always focus on. It's the monsters of the Midway, or the Steel Curtain, or those are the ideals that those teams live up to.
The only other teams I can think of that love their defense more are Kansas City at Arrowhead and Houston, only because we have a defensive player as our star. I would say San Fran, had they not had this terrible year, I would have said them, because they've always been top 5 defense. Even when they had this shit season, they were still marked as a good defense.
Yeah, but that aside, overall, the Pro Bowl was decent. Throwaway, maybe not. I don't know. It all really depends. That's about my thoughts about it.
Yeah, I don't have much aside from just praising Watt and Golden Tate. Stafford didn't hear shit from Romo, and I'm kind of glad that another Houston player, Dwayne Brown, got another Pro Bowl under his belt. Which good. Because I don't know if I've told you this, but I do during the regular season he has a show, a Dwayne Brown show, on radio, but it gets uploaded to iTunes later, so I hear it then. But since the season's over, they don't talk to him now. The season since not till next season. But anyway, so speaking of Houston, we should move on to the Houston grade. We've already rated Detroit and Dallas, so the blue teams are out, or we've literally cleared the NFC half, so now we have the AFC half.
Yep.
All right, we'll start with Houston, as since New England is in the Super Bowl, they will be saved for last.
Correct.
For the final football talks, actually. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy to hear.
All right, so I'm gonna go first since this is my team. Houston, I will begin with their offense, their quarterbacks. I'm not gonna grade them individually because that's kind of a hassle, and well, Tom Savage only played for half a game. I will say though, collectively they did what they could. I really wished Ryan Mallett could have stayed for the rest of the season. Who knows what would have happened, but even so, and I just also imagine what if Fitzpatrick didn't get injured in that game? The way it looked, they had the Colts literally under the reins. That might have been a unintentional horse pun or not. But
True.
They literally had them under control. They were running it down their throat. Things were going well till that injury, and then Tom Savage was stiff. He was a deer in the headlights, pretty much. But
Yeah.
I think they should have beaten them if he stayed. And overall, I'm gonna give the quarterbacks a B because I think they did all right. I think they did their job, and that's all they needed to do because they went for the rest of the game. It was really not about them doing their job, more so the run game, the running game. I give an A minus because I believe Foster, despite missing 7 games, he was still a top 5 running back. Isn't that crazy?
No, that tells you what the NFL values the running game.
Hey, are you saying that he's only up there because everybody else sucks, or he's?
No, I'm just saying that overall, that most teams don't have one running back as well. Most teams use 2 running backs, so they only get about 600-700 yards nowadays. That's why I think Emmitt Smith's record's never gonna be broken. But that was a topic of a long time ago.
Yeah, because you say Barry Sanders should have done it, which with what he didn't retire, you probably would be right, and we wouldn't be discussing that.
But
anyway, so I give Foster an A minus because he'd get an A if he didn't get injured. Because imagine if he played all 16 games, they probably would have won another one of those games.
I mean, to throw a baseball term in there, WAR, and that stands for wins above replacement. And I feel like in football, that would Arian Foster would be a 1 WAR. And a 1 WAR would be 1 win above his replacement, meaning that he was worth about a win extra.
Yeah. So I mean, Alfred Blue played his job too. He ran in for a few touchdowns, and he also blocked a punt and returned that for a touchdown at the very beginning of the season, that was whiteout day. That was fun.
Whiteout day.
Everybody just goes in wearing white. It was pretty fun. But anyway, the wide receiver core, I would say count the tight end, but the tight ends didn't really do much. There was only 2 touchdowns by tight ends, Garrett Graham and Fedorowicz, who got that touchdown off of Arian Foster. So I'm not going to really grade them. They need a lot of improvement. Let's just put it at that. Wide receivers did their job, and I think I told you this before, Bill, and I'll tell you it again. I think you can really feel the passing game drop to a very mediocre level if they lose either Hopkins or Andre Johnson. Because I think that's the thing with 1-2 wide receiver punches. If one is gone, it really hurts the rest of the passing game.
Yep.
That's what's the problem. Like, there may be those teams who just need their 1 star. Like, I guess you would say Detroit before they got Golden Tate. Now they're a 1-2 punch team. But before Calvin was such a threat, it left an opening. But if he was gone, oh boy, they were gone. They did not win any of those games. Like this year, they won many games they should have lost thanks to Golden Tate. So on to this. I think that the wide receivers did their job too. I gave them an A- originally, but I'm gonna lower it to a B+ because of those injuries. Now that I think about it, those injuries really did cost them a few games.
Yeah.
Or no, I think they costed them one game, along with Fitzpatrick getting injured. If Andre Johnson was in that game, that might have changed things. So Andre Johnson was a war at one point.
Yeah.
But we already know who's the bigger valuable one, Foster.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
on to the defense. Bill. Okay.
Yeah.
So the defense went from a really bad defense. Well, they weren't bad last year. I mean, like, they would not cause as much of turnovers as they did now. They leaded the league in turnovers, which shows you just how much they really worked on their defense over the year. I mean, despite switching from Wade Phillips to Romeo Cornell, who I found out recently was actually with the Patriots team that won a Super Bowl.
Yep.
So
he was the defensive coordinator of all 3 Patriots Super Bowl teams.
So Bill, basically, we have a Patriots. This is like a group of Patriots. I guess you say Patriots rejects. Put it negatively. So,
I would put it more like a Patriots reunion.
Yeah, that's a more positive spin on things, so thanks for that. So I really can't wait for Houston to play New England next year. It's Patriots playing themselves.
Well, you never know what Bill Belichick's gonna throw at them.
Yeah, but I don't think you never know what Bill O'Brien does, because they have the same strategy, which you said
Yep.
You said it in the first recording in your grade, so I want you to say that. But the best example, if you want a game that shows that, you watch the Baltimore Ravens game, and that sums up how great they can be. But I won't tell the details you said, but I'm just gonna fangasm over the damn turnovers, because if you lead the league in turnovers, I will guarantee you 9 times out of 10 you will be having a winning record. And though they barely did get the winning record, because I've said it before, I'll say it one more time, they should have beat Dallas in overtime, and Dallas should have beat the Washington football team, but they didn't adjust.
Right.
I think that was also a big wake-up call, along with Romo getting hurt. That was their big wake-up call for Dallas, but anyway, so Houston should have been 10-6, and they would have been in the playoffs.
Yep.
So anyway, I give the defense an A because they did great with turnovers, and I'm not even talking about the great players that stepped up. Obviously, Watt did great, Brooks Reed did great. These other guys, like Crick, or was it Dent? They both got some sacks in, and the other one, the one that replaced Jadeveon Clowney, which I need to mention, looking at this draft and how great they did, from the offensive players, some of the defensive, and JD was the number 1 pick. Imagine if he did play the whole season. He probably might have saved them some games, or not some games, like saved them, like got them a turnover or 2 added to that huge list of turnovers that they've caused. Like, Watts made them lose fumbles, but they've picked them up. What if he were there, and knowing how fast he is, maybe he would have grabbed one before another player from the other side did. Just remember that. But Whitney Merciless, glad he came and stepped up in Clowney's place and got, I think, 5 to 7 sacks. So they've been known for sacking the quarterback with or without Watt and turning the ball over. That's a ranked defense, if you ask me. Despite them being ranked around above 30 in the NFL rankings, I know that is a very misleading number. Don't let that fool you. Anyway,
right.
The coaching grade, I will give a B+ to Bill O'Brien. Maybe because there's a B in his name, just as there's a B in the grade. But
Yeah.
Bill O'Brien took a 2-14 team, put it to 9-7 to a winning record. That's a great job. The guy's done well. The dog's barking. But anyway, I'm really glad for what Bill O'Brien has brought to the table and revived this team, who was full of talent and just needed a push from a good coach. So we have the good coach, and finally the overall grade. Actually, I'm getting interrupted again.
I'm not.
I'm
I'm
gonna have to
not.
cut this part out now if I remember. Anyway, so what I was trying to say is the final grade I'm giving this team is a B plus. I think overall they did great. They did better than some people might have expected. Bill, you expected an 8-8 team. I expected, I think, a 10-6, 11-5.
Yeah. So it was about right in the middle.
Yeah, I'm glad they got a winning record, and I'm gonna note this. Some might consider this being a higher grade. I think other people might give them just a B at most and a C minus at the lowest. Not a C minus, C plus at the lowest. But I think I just need to remind you where they were last year, 2-14, and as Bill O'Brien said at the end of the season, not a lot of teams can go from 2-14 to 9-7 in one year. I'm pretty sure the Oakland Raiders, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Titans would kill for that record.
Right.
And not only that, they stayed playoff relevant to the very end.
Yep.
That says a lot. So
Yeah.
I'm proud of the team and what they did, but I'm just ready for next year. And I want to note one thing, which I know Bill's gonna mention. I say I say Ryan Mallett, but Bill says Case Keenum. I think Mallett is a better fit, and plus I want to see Mallett v Brady this coming year. But anyway, Bill, it's your turn, so let's have a go.
All right. For the offensive grade, I'm giving them a B plus. Overall, if they had their quarterback the entire year and the offense was consistently there, I feel like the team would have had a better record than just in or whatever it was, 8, 8, 9, 7,
9-7.
whatever.
It's a
Yeah,
winning record.
I feel like it would have been better had they all been there consistently over the entire year. The whole offense was beset with injuries.
Not
Uh,
as much as the Cardinals.
correct. But that's why I gave him a B plus. I feel like there's growth that can happen. I feel like Case Keenum will be the quarterback. He always I prefer Keenum to Mallett for the simple fact that he's he's just a pure throwing quarterback. He's a nasty pure throwing quarterback. Mallett might have the height and the prototypical old school quarterback look, but Keenum set the all-time passing record for all college at FBS level. He's the all-time leader in college for passing yardage. So the kid knows how to throw the football. You just gotta give him a chance. And I feel like if you give Case Keenum the chance and you develop him into the quarterback, he's the next Drew Brees. He could be the next Drew Brees. I feel that typically I have a good eye for talent, and I feel there's something special with Case Keenum rather than Ryan Mallett.
I
Because
feel there's a long overdue reveal of Mallett.
Mal, there's a reason why he was Brady's backup, and there's a reason why he was a backup in Houston. And I feel that Keenum has star potential, and I'm not saying that Mallett doesn't have star potential, but I feel Keenum's ceiling is much higher than Mallett's ceiling is.
But you had a suggestion for how Bill O'Brien will decide who leads.
And I know how they should decide who gets the starting job. They should have a unbiased competition in training camp, in OTAs, and let the better man win. And if it's Case Keenum, he wins. And there's no switching, there's no nothing. If he wins, he wins. If it's Fitzpatrick, he wins, he wins. If it's Mallett, he wins, he wins.
I would suggest leaving Fitzpatrick as a third, since I think he lives in Houston now. Just call him up if they need him, if they lose both Mallett and Keenum, which I hope not, and I knock on wood as I say that next year.
But overall, the offense, I give a B plus. If Arian Foster was there the entire year, it would have been an A minus. If Fitzpatrick was there, it would have been an A minus territory. But B plus is a solid grade, and they did a solid job. They fixed the offense, and it came back. Now, my defensive rank, I am giving them an A because that defense is tenacious, nasty, mean.
What I say? How can you argue against a defense from doing bad if they had the highest turnover rate in the NFL? I want to see someone actually try and prove that they didn't have a good defense.
Giving up yardage is one thing. It's giving up points. That's the other thing. You know, if you don't give up a lot of points and you're getting a lot of turnovers and you're in every game, then statistics are numbers, and numbers can be deceiving.
Yeah.
So I give the overall defense an A. J.J. Watt's the MVP of the defense. I mean,
I think he's the overall MVP, but that's a discussion that we'll find out actually tonight, right? I think
it could have already been announced. I have no idea, but
today's the
tomorrow.
I think it's today. I think it's the 29th.
Well, if it is, I have no idea.
Yeah, but anyway, continue, Bill.
Overall, the defense was good. They're just going to get better when they get Clowney next year. So, I mean, it's going to be scary. That defense is good. But now, the coaching, I give a B, but leaning towards B+. Because what coach couldn't... it's hard to coach. But it's hard to coach a 2-14 team and turn around a team like that. And Bill O'Brien did that. He instilled the Patriot way to the Houston Texans. And the Patriot way is taking the opposing team's greatest strength and taking it away. And he did a great job of that with the Houston Texans. And he attacked the team's weaknesses with their strengths on offense. And I felt like that was the best coaching job that's been done this year, was Bill O'Brien turning the Texans around better. I feel he did a better job than Bruce Arians, because you saw what happened when Bruce Arians got stuck with a third-string quarterback. It didn't go so well.
Yeah.
It went well for Bill O'Brien when he had Case Keenum, his third quarterback, come in and win games at the end of the year to almost make the playoffs.
Remember where he was, though? He was up in a tree hunting deer.
Exactly. That's the thing. Keenum, he wasn't even on the team, and they brought him back, had faith, and did that, and they won with him with the Patriot way. And then there's Bruce Arians, who went into the playoffs with a third-string quarterback, and they couldn't do nothing.
Isn't that crazy?
But it also shows you the depth of talent. Keenum is a much better quarterback than Lindley ever will be.
I'm pretty sure he's better than both Stanton and Lindley. I don't know about Palmer, but I'd actually want to see that, but it could be close.
I mean... but overall, the coaching, they did their job. I'm leaning B+ on the coaching side, but I'll give it a hard B, but leaning B+, because it's hard to kind of give it that grade, because, I feel like he did an amazing job, and I feel it could have been better at points, because at points he made rookie head coaching mistakes in the NFL.
Well, that's to be expected. Like you said, it's a rookie coach mistake.
And overall, the team overall, I give a B. if they would have went 10-6, it would have been a B plus or an A minus.
Oh, they would have been in the playoffs. I think you have to give a playoff team
Yeah,
that,
B plus.
with the exception of Carolina, maybe considering how well they did
I
at the
gave
end.
the Lions a B plus. I'm going B with Houston. They went 9-7. They almost made the playoffs. It was an amazing year for a lot of different players on the team, and I feel like it's only going to go up from here.
I have expectations of the playoffs now. I'm not talking no divisional round. I want no, not divisional. I mean wild card. I want divisional round. I want that bye. I want to be a top 2 AFC team.
Playoffs? Playoffs?
I got no time for playoffs. You know where that's from?
That's Jim Mora for the Indianapolis Colts.
Anyway, so that was fun. So Bill, it's time we talk about our pick, the final pick of the year.
Ultimate pick.
So who better to make? No, never mind. I'm not gonna make that joke. I'm not making that joke. I purge the name. Anyway, so Bill, let's talk Super Bowl. Seattle and the Patriots. What do you expect from this game?
I expect a very entertaining, very close game. Now, this is the ultimate battle. 2 number 1 seeds, 2 teams that you would think would be in there at the very end, and you never know what the Patriots are going to give you, and you know what the Seahawks have on defense. And the Seattle offense is dismal, and the New England defense is alright. Now, minus Russell Wilson on the offense, if you took Russell and Marshawn Lynch away from that offense is a bunch of nobodies.
Yeah.
The Patriots defense is got Darrelle Revis that can cover their best wide receiver, who, if you looked at his rankings, he ranked 42nd in terms of yardage. Okay?
Yeah.
So you got Darrelle Revis on your best receiver, who's the 42nd best receiver in the league. And you got another corner on their second best receiver, who, when he got thrown to last game, had 4 interceptions. I mean, I like the Patriots' chances on defense against the Seattle offense, because they're going to take away what they do best. And what they do best, and they're going to take away the best thing. And that's Russell Wilson. You take away Russell Wilson, and if you take away Russell Wilson, by extension, you're taking away Marshawn Lynch.
Yep.
So you're forcing them to pass the football.
But what about on the other side? How do you think that'll turn out when Brady's leading the charge?
Now, you got a Hall of Fame quarterback against one of the greatest defenses ever. I expect that they're going to pull a Patriots trick. They're going to go trick on them. They are going to pull out all the stops in this game, and I feel like Gronkowski could go and play against Richard Sherman. I feel they're going to throw all these different formations at the Seattle Seahawks to try to confuse them, and then run out of really untraditional run sets. They're going to do a lot against, and you give Bill Belichick a lot of time to prepare for this Seahawks defense, and he's a defensive-minded head coach in the first place, and he's looking at what you like to do. It's not a good matchup for the Seahawks. Everyone keeps saying that it's a good matchup for the Seahawks. I feel the opposite, because if you got a defensive genius breaking down your defense, and he's a Hall of Fame coach...
If he wins this, he's going to be the greatest coach who ever lived so far.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, it could not be a good thing, but I expect a close game.
So anyway, the one thing I wanted to remind you about, what have I said about Bill Belichick, and if you beat him? What will happen the second time you have to play him?
Yeah, that he knows your tendencies and your weaknesses, and
What's he gonna do to your team?
he's gonna beat them down.
Yeah, and do you remember the last time these two played? What was the final score?
I don't remember.
24-23, a close win, and this was and Russell Wilson was the starting quarterback.
Huh.
That was, I believe, 2 years ago. So I should note, Bill Belichick does not let losses. He does not take losses lightly, and if you play him again, you are going to get massacred. So that's what I expect on this one. Kind of. Or that's what I think he'll want to do. Will he do it? No. But I think he's going to finish it off in a way that's very akin to how they beat him. But anyway, Bill, do you have anything else you want to share about this game? About what to expect?
What I expect is that this is going to be one of... I expect a classic. I expect an overtime game.
Which that hasn't been done yet, right?
Correct. Vegas put this as a pick'em, and I can very easily see this game being like a 17-17, 20-20 tie going into overtime.
But what's your final score? What's your final score, though?
I have the Patriots winning the Super Bowl 23-20 in overtime. And it's gonna be a late overtime game too. It's not going to end early. It's gonna be both teams will have a possession, and the Patriots will get the possession back, and then score the field goal and win the Super Bowl.
All right. Okay then. So now it's my turn, and this is gonna be. I'm gonna set it up. Okay. It's gonna at the beginning of the second half. The score is going to be 14-7.
Okay.
Seattle. Then in the third quarter, Seattle's going to put up 2 field goals, putting it 20-7.
Oh damn!
The Patriots, who look like they're out. No, Gronkowski's can ignite the Patriots fans with a touchdown and the iconic Gronk spike, making it 14-20. Russell Wilson thinking, okay, I just need to run the football and drain the clock. They will try, but Brady's going to have the ball with 5 minutes left on the clock. Because, yes, they were trying to run the clock, and it worked a little bit. 5 minutes left. They get the ball in, they get it in for a touchdown, and there's less than 2 minutes left. Seattle has 1 timeout left. And this is going to end the exact same way I expect it to end. Just like the Seattle-Dallas game. Russell in full panic because the score is 21-20. He needs to only get in field goal range because he's got a good kicker in Gostowski. No, not Gostowski. It's Hauschka. Yeah, they have Hauschka. So it's easy for him to get the touchdown, right? Okay. He's going to throw in down the middle to get to the midfield, but Browner's going to be waiting for him, and he's going to pick the ball off. And that's game. I have the Patriots beating Seattle 21-20, a 1-point difference. It's not going to go. We're not going to overtime, but I'm telling you that it's going to end. It's going to be known as this game's going to be known as the interception.
The
interception.
I feel this could be one of the greats.
I believe so, because the difference between this game and the Broncos game is that the Broncos didn't have a good defense. This one, the Patriots do. But I will say, if Seattle does pull out and win this, you have to consider them one of the best teams that have played. Because look who they beat in their Super Bowl wins, if they win this one. They put Peyton Manning on the floor and spit at him. They took his legacy and threw it to the ground like it was a joke and just laughed. And if they beat Tom Brady, whether it's close or just by a repeat of last year's Super Bowl, which I hope not, Well then, you're gonna have to take them seriously if you didn't already.
Right.
So just let that sink in if Seattle wins. I don't think they will. I think the Patriots will win, and that'll seal the legend of the Patriots era. A long-lasting one. In a way, it feels like the Spurs winning with their 5 championships in 15 years, but the Patriots have only won 4 Super Bowls. But still, that's a good way. You win 4 Super Bowls. Should have won 6. Because the Giants, I hate the Giants. But anyway, do you have anything else you want to share, Bill?
Overall, it's been an amazing week, 2 weeks getting up to the Super Bowl, and I can't wait to see the actual Super Bowl now. 2 weeks for a football game feels like an eternity.
Yeah. But as for me, I thought this was a fun year for the most part. There were some BS calls that I didn't like, the Detroit one, and then the Dallas one. Must all my teams get one? And now Deflategate. I'm amazed Houston hasn't gotten some bullshit controversy.
Next thing you know, there'll be...
If there's a scandal, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to jinx it.
Don't jinx it.
But
you
Bill,
Bill,
with what you told me earlier, and I think this is worth bringing up before we go. Madden curse. You know how I'm saying I think Gronkowski is going to be on the Madden cover, him or Aaron Rodgers? But you told me no. I would hope that wouldn't happen. Tell me why, Bill.
Because every single player that makes the Madden cover gets injured or has a bad year in some way.
All right, so let's go with the recent one. Not the last year. Let's go with one a few years back. Tell me some of the stories you shared, Bill.
Troy Polamalu of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He injures himself. Larry Fitzgerald broke his leg when he was on the cover. Michael Vick, when he was on the cover, broke his leg.
And then what else
Let's
happened?
see.
There was one more thing that happened to him. Don't forget.
Oh yeah, the dog fighting. Brett Favre was on the cover, and he played half a season with a torn bicep. I mean, the year Ray Lewis and the Ravens made the cover, Ray Lewis got hurt, and the Ravens missed the playoffs.
And then they got their it's another Ray.
Well, they went 4-12 that year. Did the Ravens?
Oh, I'm talking about like before. I was gonna make the joke of now Ray Rice is out, but that's another Ray. But let's go with last year's.
And who was last year's?
Richard Sherman.
Richard Sherman this year, they were having a very nasty season up to a point. Then it happens, and then the season's going along. And you think, oh, Sherman's gonna be okay, and then boom, he goes and hyperextends his elbow in the NFC title game.
Funny that you say boom, and he's part of the Legion of Boom.
Yep.
But anyway, it looks like he'll play regardless of how he feels. He really wants to play. Same with Earl Thomas.
But I mean, it's a curse, and you don't want any part of it.
I really hope that the players who might get put on there is aware.
They even put a no-name player on the cover, and he got hurt. Peyton Hillis. And now look at where Peyton Hillis is. He's a third-string running back for the New York Giants.
He used to be with the Browns, like you told me.
He was their starting running back. Got hurt, then got kicked off the team.
But you said he still got a 1,000-yard season.
He had a 1,000-yard season, then was put on the cover. Then he had like a 400-yard season, and then he was cut.
What an evil game.
So you don't want any part of the man curse. And don't Photoshop yourself onto the man box, or you will be cursed.
I don't want to. I don't know. I'm not even sure if I'll get the game now. Because I might get next year's game. Because I want to do the franchise mode, especially if you ever get like a PS4 or something. I doubt you will. Off chance you do, we can have a connected franchise.
Oh man.
And I can assure you, the year after, we have to play each other. And that will be fun. You and I will play each other on Madden.
Oh man.
The commentary is gonna be weird as hell, though, but it would be really interesting and fun.
Oh man.
But anyway,
I probably won't be getting a PS4 for a while.
well, if you don't get it next year, you can get it the year after.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, I think that'll do it for this penultimate football talks. I know this one wasn't as good as it could as before, which I apologize, and I really hope this one picked it up. I believe it did. I'm confident it did. If it didn't, I'm going to throw something. But anyway, so next week we will come back for the final football talks of the season. Bill, do you have any sentimental thoughts, pre-sentimental thoughts to share before we?
I'll save my thoughts about the season until next time.
Well, I mean the whole just the podcast thing.
Oh, the podcast! I love the podcast. It's pretty sad that it's almost over.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping you can get enough friends to actually make a fantasy football team, or a group, so that way we have another thing maybe to talk about.
Oh man!
Just to
fantasy
talk.
Fantasy player of the week.
Well, I don't know about that, but I'm just saying like how our fantasy teams did. But I mean that'll be fun. Anyway, so I think that's all. I don't have much to say, but I'm just a little sad that this is gonna go. This has become a habit at this point. So imagine a week after, it's like, hey Bill, are we gonna record? It's like, but the season's over. It's like I forgot. That's gonna happen. I just know it. But we'll be back until when is the draft? May?
Hey.
Yeah, that's a long time. And then after that, we won't be back until late August, when the college starts up again.
When college starts up again, and you get another 30-page freaking packet.
Oh God! Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started on my Texas government one, because my professor does not know how to shut up. And he gave me a 23-page paper. If you count the text on front and back, it's a grand total of 45 pages, and I gotta memorize that for a syllabus quiz. That's not a quiz, that's like my first major test. And as I read through it, it looks like it's talking about every single government class. Is this a syllabus for my class, or is this an overview of the entire government branch, or the entire government department, if I want to major in it?
Here is your synopsis. But we might want to stop now, or we'll...
What were they thinking? What was he thinking? He needs to shut up.
Oh man.
Anyway, you purposely did that. You purposely brought that up. Anyway.
Now it's forever immortalized.
You're not gonna forget that. The 23-page syllabus. I hate it.
You're welcome.
And the worst part is, I'm pretty damn confident my teacher is a heavy conservative. If he says Fox News is a credible source, oh yeah, I know what you are. I don't even need to ask your political views. I know what you're into, and shame on you. Oh well. I'm sorry, Bill. I should have given you a trigger warning. I said a really bad word. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this football talks. We will see you guys next week, and after I'm done being frustrated with this damn packet, we will see you guys later after the Super Bowl.